throw back to the original Puck Boys podcast. Shout out if you've been listening back since SoundCloud.
We have to have a couple people that we know that have listened to this for long enough, right?
I think so, but I think our original. You good?
Oh, yeah.
I think our original was the Jackie Moon.
That was the original idea. Was
Yeah. Well,
we
Love
used
Me
that-
Sexy.
I think we used that for like the first 10
Yeah,
podcasts.
yeah. There's the instrumental "Love Me Sexy."
Yeah, there
And
was.
then it got taken off YouTube and we had to change. I remember that's what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah,
That's
it
why
got
I originally
taken off
changed.
YouTube. And Dalkey was
forgot
singing
about
it
that.
every single time that it came on. And Dalkey be fucking
love
sitting
that
there
song.
serenading the
Dun,
shit
dun,
out of
dun.
us. Yeah.
Best
But
time
honestly, we should probably just still do that. Just us be the instruments, our mouths.
I always joked about doing that, but
Best time to listen to that song
Making love.
after
Oh.
after a hockey game in the showers.
okay.
That's how that's going to go.
Oh, yeah, that fires it up.
So our first topic of conversation
exactly.
today.
So go to Italy.
Excuse me. The Athletic released an anonymous player poll,
Yep.
They did.
and I don't follow the Athletic, so I'm straight out stealing their content.
That
here.
honestly might be one of the things I invest in soon because I've read some free articles. They're
Mhm.
pretty damn good.
Yeah, and it's actually not that bad. It's I think $2 a month
Yeah,
I think
or
it's
something.
like
I think
that,
it's
yeah.
$3.50 a month.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
much. So
Or if you can give away passwords, we can all just chip $1.
that's what we gotta
Yeah,
do
there we go. There we go. See,
for the podcast.
Yeah, for the podcast.
I like it.
We're going,
you're
we're going
thinking.
above and
business
beyond.
transaction. All
Above
right.
and
All right.
beyond.
Anyway, it was an anonymous player pool. I believe they sent out to 200 players. 98 from the East responded, 100 from the West responded, and they did 100 of each. So they asked. I have 8 questions here, and they're all related to and people sent in their vote, and they put it by percentage and going by the answers. So the first question is, who is the best all-around player in the National Hockey League? Number 1. Do you guys want to guess, or do you guys want to give me your answer?
We should give answers and then
Like,
tell
who,
us
like
after.
what would be your answer, and then kind of explain why you'd give that answer, and then I'll tell you what the players picked.
Because I guess your guess could also be what you think. Like you could
Yeah.
be like, this is kind of what I think. So we'll go one for one. So do you want to do 3 players each, or do you want to do 1 player? What
Just
do
you give
wanna
me
do?
your one. Give me your one, and then we'll go down from there.
Coming from a Edmonton Oilers fan, still think it's Sidney Crosby.
Really?
I still think his defensive play and his offensive play is outstanding. His face-offs is amazing, and that's who my player is.
I'm giving it to Sid.
Okay.
Back-to-back Sids.
I think that McDavid is better than Crosby offensively, but I think what you've seen from Crosby this year from his defensive game, I think he definitely deserves to be part of the Selke conversation. And
Oh yeah, I 100% agree.
I guess defensive game's better than
In my top
McDavid,
3,
so I would have Crosby 1.
yeah, in my top 3, I had Patrice Bergeron, just
Yeah,
because of
though-
how good he is defensively, and his offensive skill with Pasternak and Marchand is outstanding. So it's like,
I agree with
Yeah.
everything you guys said.
Yeah.
And I also think I would nudge Crosby ahead of McDavid, just because I think in order to lose the top spot, Crosby still needs to get distinctively past. Whereas until it's neck and neck, I would always give him the nod, just because it's been his
Yeah.
nod for quite
Oh,
a
yeah.
while now. And obviously, I know the next question involves Game 7, but if it was Game 7, I'd 100% take Crosby over
Yeah,
McDavid
and I would
because he's
too.
been there before
Yeah,
and
I
that
would
kind of
too.
stuff. So
I'm hoping it's McDavid.
So who did they had
they have Crosby at 48%, so essentially half the league.
Yeah.
McDavid got second at 25%, so
Yeah.
a quarter of the league, and then Bergeron got 11% of the votes.
There's 3.
Yep.
Those are my 3 written down.
And I think I'd probably have the same 3. I'm a huge fan of Nathan McKinnon. I might put him as my third
Yeah.
in that conversation as well. But I think just you guys touched on Bergeron's defensive capabilities and also his leadership type stuff that
Oh,
you hear
yeah.
with Boston and stuff. So I would have him in there too.
One thing that's
McKinnon
crazy.
would have been my 4-2 as well.
Well,
Okay.
One thing that's crazy is there's no defensemen on these lists.
Not long ago, I would have said Erik Karlsson is in my top 3
That's-
for sure.
Yeah.
But
Remember when Carlson, McDavid, and Crosby were in one tier and everyone else was
Everybody
way below
else,
that?
yeah.
that
And,
was a year and a half ago.
yeah, that's crazy.
Not even.
Crazy how time flies.
The next question here is Game 7 Cup Final. Who's your starting goalie? And
All
this
time right now.
this would just be it's not
Right now.
It's the players in the league. You're voting on who's in the league right now.
Okay.
So Who wants to call in? Let's start with you. What's
I've
your
been
answer?
shaking my head since the question was asked. It's
was kidding.
It's CP31. There's nobody. You're not gonna not take Carey Price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Carey Price is the man.
Carey Price is 1 for Colin.
Who's
Easy.
yours? I'll let you answer this.
Okay, my answer is also Carey Price. I would think,
Damn.
just dude, for the same thing with Crosby, I think yes, Price has been up and down. It hasn't been the best goalie in the league for the last bit, but
Yeah.
I've seen him be the best goalie, he's the best goalie I've ever seen in my lifetime with my own eyes. So
I think he's the best goalie of all time.
like, of course, I've seen Hasek play like in highlights and like replays and stuff, but I never saw it like with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Watching Price play is crazy. And
Mine,
what's your answer though? I want to hear who you have.
Marc-Andre Fleury.
That's a good answer. I would have him
For
2
a
or
clutch-
3.
For a clutch Game 7 goalie, 100% taking Fleury.
Dude, I probably had him. Well, it was funny because me and Marcus were talking about Fleury like not too long ago.
Yeah.
Like going into the year, I had Fleury when he was like just with Vegas. I had him like around the 10 to 15 range, maybe like 15 to 20, kind of
For-
just like an average starter, more or less. And it's just insane how much he's gotten better over the course of the last year and a half. He had the playoff run.
Yeah.
This year, he has the most. I think he has the most starts. He has the most shutouts. He's tied for the most wins.
Yeah, he's tied for the most wins right now.
Like it's like that's like
Vegas is riding him, and he's answering the bell. Like he's been great for them.
yeah. I would have.
He took him to the Cup final last year.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
they had
That-
no business beating Winnipeg in the 3rd round.
And that's exactly why. It's like in those clutch situations,
I think
you
Fleury
need a
would probably
goalie.
be.
Like,
Yeah, with you, I think Fleury would probably be my top 3, just because of what he's done as of late in
Yeah.
the last
Oh, yeah.
couple of years. Even go back to before he was with Vegas, he was backup goalie in a cup-winning team.
yeah,
And played the first 2 rounds.
And another thing is like he's won. Like that's the only thing with Carey
Yeah.
Price. It's like Carey Price hasn't won the cup. Carey Price hasn't like he's gone far and stuff. But Fleury winning those cups, taking a Vegas Golden Knights team to the
Yeah.
Stanley Cup final, like can't disregard that at all.
and
So,
beat the Jets in 5.
yeah.
The only thing about Fleury is I'm going to say you also can't disregard the series against Philly,
Yes.
like in 2012
6
or whatever
goals
that
on
was.
10
Yeah,
shots
when
or
he, like,
whatever
shit
it
the
was.
bed.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
that was like
Every
a
game.
regular occurrence. It
Yeah.
was like an 800
Yeah.
save percentage, 1 games in
Yeah.
that series. Anyway, second, so we talked about Fleury, we talked about Price. Who would be your third, or who do you think got the 3rd place vote? Because it was Price 28, Fleury 16, and then 15% someone else got votes. Who else would you guys say? My personal third is not who they have here.
I would have said I really like Pecorine.
Oh.
I always like
That's a good
Pecorine.
answer.
And it might be because of the defense that he has, but he's always stellar back there, and I think he's like one of the most talented goalies in the league. So
Had Rene not played like total shit against the Jets in Game 7 in the second round last year,
Oh yeah.
I would say Rene.
Yeah.
But that happened.
Yeah.
And he got
Yeah.
pulled in the first period. So because of that, I would go. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go Vasilevsky, even though Gibson, when he's hot, he is
I was gonna say,
so
it's either
good.
Gibson or
But
Vasi,
he's
you're
just
saying.
been so bad the last month. Like he totally shit the bed.
Yeah.
He had the Vezina. I thought he was gonna win the Vezina for sure. And
I'm
then he
pretty
didn't.
sure on this podcast we said he might win the Vezina a few times.
Yeah. Like I thought it was a lock, and he's just totally botched it.
Well, it's also the team in front of him. I feel like
And yes, like,
that's
I'm-
just
Yeah.
it's all crumbling down, and no one's safe there. In
I think Gibson's
Anaheim.
also hurt.
Is he right
Yeah,
now?
I think he was, or at least he was for a bit there.
So who's your number 3?
My
there,
3 was
Cruz?
Gibson.
It was
I would say Gibson, and Vasilevsky's the one they voted in.
Vasilevsky,
so,
yeah.
Oh, good.
all good answers.
Yeah.
Now this one I think is my favorite of all the questions, and is who is the most underrated player in the hockey league, in the National
Most
Hockey League?
underrated.
Who's the most underrated player?
He has not been talked about enough, and I think he's running the back end of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that is Chris Letang.
Really?
His offensive upside and his defensive play is outstanding, I think, especially from the games of Pittsburgh I've watched, and I think he is running the show there.
I have seen quiet conversations about him for the Norris, but
And
I did
have-
not
and
think
again,
that was going to be your
I
answer.
haven't- I haven't
Interesting.
seen anything talking about how good he is, about anything about Chris Letang, and it's like he's like quietly coming into the Norris conversation and isn't getting talked about enough, I think. So that's mine.
I like your answer. What do you have, Colin?
So nobody ever watches Carolina games. Everyone knows that Aho is just super good. and everyone says they have a really good top 6 defense. Their goaltenders are a bunch of no names, but they get the job done. Nobody talks about how they signed Teuvo Teravainen for like a 5-year, $5.3 million deal.
Yeah, it's a good contract.
That's already looking like a steal.
Yeah.
He's on pace for this season. He's supposed to be around 75 points. He has 61 points in 65 games. He's a plus 25.
Wow, that's good.
Like, that's pretty... And then you look at the next highest scoring guy besides those two, and it's 42 points with Justin Williams. Like, Teravainen is... He drives that offense as well. Like, not as much as Aho, but I think Teravainen's pretty underrated. That's my guy.
See, I had 2 guys written down here just in case we did have some overlap. So my answer was actually going to be Aho.
Oh,
Because you said the league's kind of like akin to how good he is now. I was like, I don't think they are. I don't think people talk about how good he is. He's one of those RFAs coming up next, like for this offseason. And I feel like people talk about Line. They talk about the Matthews is signed now, but like Marner, Kapanen,
Four.
and like just a Point. There's a bunch of different guys. Rantanen.
I think
But
Aho and Point are kind of in the same group just because they weren't seen as first-round picks even. They were both drafted a bit later and then progressed and then made the team and then became sick. So I think
Okay.
for Aho, I think that's kind of what he's looking at, especially since they're both playing center too.
So I was going to say Aho, but I'm going to go with my fallback answer, which is Vincent Trocheck. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone talks. I feel like Barkov, especially this year, has gotten a lot of recognition. Like I think he hands down should win the Selke, like run away with it. And I feel like the league's kind of learning this and kind of taking note that he is a stud. Lots of his highlight reel goals, I think, are a reason for that. But the second line man in Trocheck is had a broken foot for I think almost 2 months this year.
Yeah, I think he broke his leg or
It was
his ankle or something.
Yeah, I thought it was his foot, but lower body injury, and
He had 75 points last year.
but no one knows that. I feel like no one knows that about him, and it's just like really, he's really undervalued and really underrated because both him and Barkov play 25 minutes a game for that team, and everyone talks about Barkov but not him. Anyway, the players. You guys want to know what the players said?
Yes.
One thing about Trocheck too is that Barkov gets like 23 minutes a night. Trocheck still gets over 20.
That's crazy.
Like they run those two guys for 2/3 of the game, then they split their third line and fourth line center.
Yeah.
Anyways, keep going.
So yeah, the players voted, and it actually was a majority. I shouldn't say majority. No, it wasn't majority because that would be over 50%. But the one, and by a landslide, was Barkov. He got 26% of the votes, and the next closest was 8%.
With
so
who are the top?
there was two tied, and Backstrom got 8% from Washington.
Yeah, I
Fair.
can definitely
Fair.
see that one. Yeah.
And Braden Point got votes as well. And I think Point's a good answer too. I think the league's starting to notice him because he's top 5 in points. But
I was gonna say I think all those guys like
I
do
think-
have the recognition now.
I don't think Backstrom does now. I don't.
Backstrom doesn't. No. Backstrom's not the best offensive center on his team.
And that's why I don't think he should be in there. Just because I think people that he used to be underrated, but now he's the rating people always thought he was. Like he's
Yeah.
not a top 10 center in the league anymore. He's good. He's great. Good, like especially passing. Like one of the best passers in the league. But
You wouldn't have him as a top 10 center?
I don't think so. I think you can, depending on what centers you call wingers you call centers.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have
I
Backstrom
think
in my
I think
top
I
10.
have him 11 to 15 range.
Yeah.
He'd be around there.
Okay.
Anyways.
Next category is now the most overrated player in the league.
I'm sticking with Winnipeg, and I'm saying Patrick Laine. I think if he didn't have his shot he wouldn't be in the NHL. If he
Come
ha-
on. Do you really think that?
I think if he had an average shot, like any Joe Blow shot, not like obviously I'll say an average NHL shot, he wouldn't be in the league. His skating's not good enough. His defensive play's not good enough.
Did you watch any of the first period today?
That pass was dirty. I'll give you his passing has been sublime lately, but I still think he's one of the most overrated players in the
He's
NHL.
a very good passer. He just doesn't pass like a lot.
Yeah.
And I think he he gets too. He's a young player, and I think he's learning how to grow. Like when he gets in a zone and he gets frustrated, he shoots the puck too much, and he
Yeah.
tries to do too much. And either he gets it and tries to do too much, or he just fires it on net
Yeah.
like crazy, and he doesn't look for the pass or look to set up
Yeah.
the play.
Yeah.
And I think with age, he will become better at that, and like
Yeah.
better at like a more well-rounded game.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good answer. Like
Yeah.
I think
For
he's
how
been.
much he gets talked about and like how much praise and like people like
we,
seeing how much money he's going to be
we
getting.
talk
It's
about
like,
the stats like what is it? October he had like 3 goals. November he had 18, and then in the next 2 months he had like 6
Yeah,
or
or-
something. And
yeah.
it was like 2 and 4, and then
January, and it was like
yeah, he had 18 goals, and then like in the other 3 months of the year he was like
Yeah.
8 goals total. So I see that there is talk about him being overrated. Colin, who did you put down for your overrated player?
See, well, I had Jonathan Quick.
Ooh,
But it's kind of hard because he's had like a lot of injuries. But like, man, do you remember when we used to think that he was like a for sure top 5 goalie? But man, like you look at his stats this year, I'm pretty sure he has. Well, hold on. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna pull up some stats for
I want
you.
to hear some Jonathan Quick stats. Just because I'm a big fan of Jonathan Quick, and I
Well, that's the other thing. Like I know you've been like a big Jay Quick fan, but if you look at the last couple of years, last year he had a 914 save percentage, 21 wins, which isn't anything to rave about. That's just like an average starter. And then he goes on to get swept in the playoffs and gets lit up by Vegas. Although I think every game was a one-goal game.
no. He did not get lit up by Vegas. He lost
Oh,
that
yeah,
series
that's
with a
right.
9.5 save percentage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He got swept and he had a 9.5. It was fucked. He allowed like
That's right,
he allowed like 6 goals in like what is it? Would that be 12? Like 16 periods or something.
Yeah.
It was fucked
Yeah.
because a bunch of games went to overtime against them. So
I also totally looked at the wrong season. Totally botched that. You know what? We're gonna focus on this year. 12 wins and an 892 save percentage. That is
He's
how
had
many
a down
games
year.
has he started? Or how many has he played?
35. But he's also had to deal with injuries and stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
think he's gonna get worse from here on out. And
I do too.
yeah,
I think it's scary just because of how much he depends on his athleticism
Athleticism, yeah.
and flexibility. Like if he's 29, which I think he is now, and his body starts breaking down, or he might even be older than that.
how old do you think he is?
I guess he was 29.
33.
32. Oh.
He's 33.
Yeah, I thought he was like 32.
Oh, never mind then. Yeah, he's probably done. Like, okay,
R.I.P.
yeah. I don't
His
know if
knees
that
are
body's. I don't know if
fucked.
that body's gonna bounce back or not. That's harsh.
That's so funny. Just
Should he
totally abandoned
Should
ship
he
on what you were
retire
gonna say.
now?
Okay. My guy that I'm gonna say is similar in terms of he's old and breaking down, but I don't think people realize how much he's breaking down. And that would be Joe Thornton. Jumbo Joe. I had the stats up here. He has essentially a 0.5 points per game for the whole season, which is the worst of his top 6. Of the entire Sharks top 6, it's the worst.
Is he in
And
the top 6 right now?
No, he plays third line.
I didn't
normally.
think. Yeah, I thought
But-
everyone knew he was shit. No offense to Joe
Not
Thornton.
shit.
Not
no.
shit, just like not
He's
the
not a goal
old
scorer.
Joe.
He can pass. That's
Yeah.
about it. He can win draws too.
he's
He's
good.
pretty physical, but like that's it.
I'm just saying I don't think people realize how much he has declined. I think people even last year people thought he was like the first line center on his team when it was actually Couture and Pavelski and Brent Burns back there carrying them a lot. So I think a lot of it has to do with those knee surgeries back to back, like reconstruction of the knee. So you can't really blame the guy too hard. And obviously we all love Jumbo Joe, but I think the writing's on the wall. I think this is probably his last year. So
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who really comes into mind?
I was struggling with this question. I couldn't think
know.
of much more.
You can go like I would have Line. I think he is a little overrated. I wouldn't have him like the most.
Dude, two-
Getzlaf for me would be one of
Ooh.
them.
I was gonna say Perry, but like that's kind
I
of
think Perry's worse though. That's the thing.
that's kind
Like,
of what the Joe Thornton thing. It's like he's getting older, he's on the decline, and all that. And it's like Perry's just another one of those guys that's like that.
But the thing is, like, I think Getzlaf is still viewed as a first line center to some people, and I don't think he's there anymore.
Who would be? Is Henrique the first line center? I guess in Anaheim.
No,
Or
it's
who-
Getzlaf.
It's Getzlaf. No, but like who's the second line then?
Kessler or Henrique? Or is
Yeah.
Kessler hurt?
That's another player who I think is very overrated, is Kessler.
I don't think he's gonna play much more in the
Yeah,
NHL, dude.
like,
He's had speaking
whole
of broken
Anaheim
bodies.
team, Yeah.
Um,
I did hear this question before though. This was like the one out of the group that I did hear before, and number one, he's gonna be like, no way.
okay.
But you can
Um,
lead us on with those.
Yeah, who was the?
Oh, who did
Overrated.
the
Yeah, who
players
did you
say?
guys say?
Sorry.
Players say, yeah.
Overrated. They had Subban at number 1, 23%.
Yep.
They had Line A at second with 9%. And this one really shocked me actually.
I only heard the first two.
Yeah, Line A was 9% at 6. 9% was second, and then Ekblad was third with 6%. And I was actually surprised to learn that because obviously he
I'm
hasn't
an
been putting up a
Ekblad
lot of
fan.
points, but I thought he was like a really good shutdown defender, and like the league would have respected that about him. But I guess maybe he's more.
Imagine this list coming out and you being like either
Dude,
one of the three.
I remember. Sorry,
PK.
my backup answer, if we gave this answer like 2 months ago, would have been Pacioretty because he started off the year so shitty, and I thought like
Yep.
I thought like
Yeah.
he got from the get go. I thought he got overpaid like crazy, and I didn't think he was gonna like be back to a 30 goal scorer.
Yeah.
But he's been playing really good recently. So
Dude, I'd still throw him in the conversation for overrated.
Yeah.
I still don't think he's been that good, and the fact is he got signed to a 4-year, $7 million deal, and that's not going to look good, judging off of how this season's gone, and he's only going to get worse from here on out. So,
Yeah.
we think.
Yes.
So yeah, that was just that was the list they had. Then the next is the coach you'd most likely to play for, or you most want to play for, and then the coach you'd least want to play for. And these are really close votes actually. So
So for me,
Let's start with your most.
most
Yeah,
we'll
let's
do
start with
most
your
one first.
I'd probably go John Cooper. He's like
that's
a
mine too.
Yeah, he seems like a really funny guy in all the interviews, and he's kind of younger, so I
Yep.
think he'd be able to relate more to.
From what I've heard in interviews and stuff, like all the guys in that locker room love John Cooper, and it's like just his coaching style, everything about him is just like he's such a nice guy. He helps you out if you need it, anything like that. It's like
Yeah.
that's a guy you want to have behind you on your bench.
I would totally agree. Cooper's my vote as well.
Oh.
I didn't think that was much of a surprise.
Because the Jets game was on, and I was like, "Yep, there's my vote." As soon as I was done.
Also, he finds a way to make his team want to win every game, and they don't take nights off. So that sounds like an environment I'd want to
Yeah.
be surrounded by, especially as a goalie. You know,
Babcock and Quenneville would be up there for me as well, even though Quenneville's not even.
I was gonna say disqualified.
Well, it didn't say if they had to be in the league. It just who do you want? Which coach would you want to play for?
Well, I think we should go
Doesn't have to be
to
active
your
coaches.
least favorite.
I
because-
still want to talk about most
Oh, you
favorite
do?
because
Okay.
I have like second and third answers.
Oh, I only had one.
I think okay. Second, I think, and it's the second that's here as well, is Gerard Gallant with
Yep.
with Vegas.
Yep.
That
He would
was
be
my
someone
third, yep.
I would love to
Or fourth, then.
to play for. Wait,
think-
you said he was fourth?
Well, I would have him after. Well, it depends. Does Quenneville count? Yes or no?
Oh, okay, right. I forgot
Yeah.
about those. Okay.
Honestly, I feel like Paul Maurice is up there too.
I think Pomo would be really fun to play for.
Yeah.
But I also feel like
I don't like the system that he plays like that much defensively. I don't know.
You're an
He
offensive player.
seems like a cool guy though.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. He's a guy you
him
want to sit down and
shooting
have a
the
beer.
shit, like that's totally
oh, yeah.
fine. And
Oh yeah.
and then the third answer they have here is Barry Trotz. And I feel like he would be a little bit hard to play for just because I think he's a very demanding coach
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
really squeezes everything out of your players, but obviously it fucking works. Like this guy's got success with every team he goes to.
Yeah.
The
Islanders
Islanders.
as a prime example this year, but like yeah, I think
he put Nashville on a map.
exactly. Like and he
Got a
made
cup in Washington.
so I think he would be. I agree with their top three. It
Yeah.
would probably be my top three percentage wise. By the way, Cooper 23, Gallant 23, Trotz 11. So
Yeah.
Okay,
in
so it was
percentages.
essentially those two guys. And
I
then
didn't
everybody
even
else.
think of Gallant, and as soon as you said, it, I was like, "Yep,
yeah.
that's another guy."
I'm just mad because we could have just hired him as the coach. Montreal could have just promoted him, but instead they're like, you know what? Terrian's our guy. You can get out of here.
You're in a playoff spot. Don't be mad.
I know. Julian's a great coach.
Okay.
Julian's a great coach.
Which
Love the guy.
so then, now which coach would you not want to play for? And
Claude
if,
Julian.
I think we all have similar answers here. I had Julian as one of my three.
Who are your other two?
I would like you to say your number one.
Well, you said Babcock earlier.
Don't-
You would not.
You don't want to
not-
play for
do-
Babcock?
From stories I've heard and everything about him being a prick and all that, I do not want to play for him. And the other guy was mainly because he just scares me, and I've heard he bag skates a lot, and it's Torts.
Yeah,
He
we all
scares-
have Tortorella in
Yeah,
our
okay,
top
yeah.
three, right?
Torts-
If
Torts
my
would
mind was
make into
Babs
my
and
top
Torts, it was
three.
like, yeah, he just scares me.
It's a little bit like, yeah, he's just an absolute basket case because you don't know what he's going to say, but you can't deny that he wins. So I struggled. He was actually my 3 because he actually is a super winning coach and still is a super winning
Yeah.
coach. My number 1 was Hitchcock.
Hitchcock,
Just
yeah.
because of seeing the way, like, some of the quotes that have come out this year about, like, how he wants to win more than the team. Like, there's guys on the team that don't want to win
Yeah,
as much as
that
him.
was
And
a-
I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
like that's the type. Like, to me, it just seemed like he's selling the team down the river, and that's not the environment I would want to play in.
And also the whole thing about him saying, like, how McDavid gets, like, picked on all the time, and the refs need to, like, open their eyes, basically. And basically shitting on the refs. Like, what do you think they're going to do as soon as you say something like that? You think they'll be like, oh, yeah, sure, Hitchcock will, like, give you some more calls. Like, obviously not, and stuff like that. It just, I could see where you're coming from there, totally.
Yeah, Hitchcock would be my least wanting to play for, coach.
I also wouldn't want to play for Boudreaux.
Really,
No.
Brucey?
Yeah, no, I'm not fucking around with that guy. He's
For me, my second would be Julien, and then my third would be Tortorella.
is it why like okay, I had Julian as my 1,
Okay.
but like why did you have Julian?
See, I feel like I just some of the stuff he said and just the air I have about him, I don't think I would like him as a coach. Honestly, I don't think there's been a Montreal head coach I've actually liked at all. Like, I didn't like Carbonneau, I didn't like Terrien. I just
Do you know how much I hate the fact that he coached Montreal and then Boston and then went from Boston back to Montreal? Do you know how much that drives me nuts? How you can just like hop the line, and then he was on the Bruins and he bitched the Habs about being a bunch of softies going down after just getting tapped or whatever, and then he plays for the Habs and he's like, well, these Bruins, they're charging us and hitting us from behind. It's like, dude, you're playing both sides just to come up on top. Like,
Okay. So you have a little bit more personal vendetta
oh,
with
yeah.
that.
I was just saying, I didn't really think of Terry because I don't fucking know.
Well, Terrien's not in the league anymore, but yeah,
or
like I was just saying.
Julian. Yeah.
Sorry, not
Yeah.
Terrian. Julian.
Okay. And the last 2 are revolve around which city to go to. So one is
what
the,
was the
Yeah,
consensus?
who's the consensus?
sorry, Tortorella 30%,
Yeah.
Hitchcock 27%,
Yep.
and then Babcock 15%. So the players actually find Babcock hard. To-
I do think I would agree with that.
17
He
of those
comes off as a
98
bit more
came
of a
from
hard
Toronto.
ass,
It is all them saying Babcock.
but help us.
yeah.
Okay, and then the last 2 questions here is which city is the most fun to play in, and which city is the least fun to play in.
Let's go with most fun.
Of course, most fun.
And I'm saying Nashville. I know the obvious answer is like Vegas and all that, but I think Nashville is such a fun city. Like, just from what I've seen, especially with their playoff runs, I'm a country music fan, so like obviously that's a plus. And just like the bar scenes that I've heard there's some main street of like all their bars. You can walk down there till 5 a.m. just getting hammered. Sounds like a good time. Hey, your phone's having a good time.
Yeah,
I would
I know.
totally agree with
I don't know.
Smashville. Smashville would be
Smashville?
a really fun place
Yeah.
to play.
Is that your 1 though?
I don't think it's my 1. I'm still like I'm honestly flip flopping like in my head as we talk.
Who are the flip flops then?
I'm not gonna flip flop. I've been to New York.
Yeah.
And it's New York, and then everybody else is playing checkers.
Really?
More precisely, the Rangers, right? Like you'd want
Yes,
to be downtown.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
say.
I'm playing in Madison Square Garden. Yes.
Okay. I would not have
Good
New
choice.
York.
Good choice, honestly.
The ones I'm flipping between is Chicago and Nashville, and I feel
Chicago?
everything I hear about the Madhouse, I feel like it'd be like,
I would wanna
dude,
play that.
imagine being I'm a goalie. Do you know what it'd be like to have that song play against me? Like I would be like happy to let a goal in Chicago, to hear the song go off
Well, that's kind of like
against
the
me.
same thing in Nashville where they do that chant where it's like Marcus, Marcus. It's like it's all your fault. Like you suck. It's all your fault. It's like I'm sorry.
I don't know. I would feel nostalgic hearing that song.
Yeah.
Like I might dance. I might do the thing with everyone, like in the net. Like
I want to be a goalie one day. Just like
Yeah.
get scored on, hear that song, and just.
yeah, I would. Like it would be so much fun to do that. And I like this. I've never been to Chicago. I've been to the airport, but I've never actually been to the city. So I'm just a little.
Great city.
It's a place I want to check out and like go to. So
I'm
and I
surprised-
hear they got good food. So
Yeah. I'm surprised Vegas wasn't on any of our lists.
well, Vegas would be in my 3.
Yeah,
It would probably be my third.
That's kind of what I was
but
thinking too.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably have New York, Vegas. No, I'd have New York, LA, and
Looks like we got a little Panarin over here.
Montreal. Throw them in there too.
Okay.
playing in the Bell Center would be fucking awesome. Not even just like the city, just like playing in the Bell Center would be enough to put in the top 3.
Fair enough. The league here they voted Vegas 26% first. Nashville was second at 19%, and then Chicago was third at 13%.
Okay.
So people agree with me. What can I say?
Fuck Chicago now. I hate them now. Never going there.
And then least favorite city to play in, or least fun city to play in.
I know the answer. This is the other question I knew the answer to, but I have a different answer for myself. And we were talking about it earlier, and it's, I think, the Island. I think I
Really?
would not want to go to the Islanders, or like go to New York Islanders team.
Play against them.
Yeah. Yes. There it is. Play against them, because you hear everything about how like New York Rangers, like you go to the actually New York City, and it's beautiful, it's awesome, it's fun to play in, but you never hear going to the Island's fun. Like, what is there to do there? I guess some bars and stuff, but I guess you could say the same about like New Jersey is kind of the same boat, but yeah, that's my vote, is the Island.
I do not want to go to Michigan, go to Detroit, and then play hockey in the little Little Caesar.
Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah, fuck that. I am not doing that.
That is actually a very good answer,
You can
because I think that might even be my number one. I might have changed.
like
but I didn't even
Detroit
think
is
of
so
them.
greasy, and
Yeah.
just everything I hear about it, it's just not.
An awful city.
Yeah, it's just a shit.
I disagree. I think there's a lot of hockey heritage in Detroit.
I
and
think there is a lot of heritage too, but the thing is
It
that's
was.
in the past.
Yeah.
That's 20 years, pal. Detroit's
Just like their vehicle productions in the past.
yeah, I'm not going to Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit.
You
Oh,
can
fuck,
scratch
that's
me. I'll
bad.
stay home.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 5-game roadie. We're going
So-
to Michigan. Fuck.
just-
Scratch me the whole thing.
No.
I don't want to go for the whole thing. Oh, look, I missed the flight. Oh, no.
I'll meet up with you guys in New York.
Yeah. So what's yours?
My answer is Buffalo.
I had Buffalo. I think those were my top 3.
Buffalo is just as cold as Canada, and except for Winnipeg. And I should say not just Winnipeg, but
No,
it's fucking cold in Buffalo, and it's still in the States, so you have to deal with the crappy States laws and everything that's bad down there.
You're a rookie. It sucks.
I feel like there's not much to do in Buffalo. Like you guys are talking about the New York, like what to do in New York, what to do in LA. I don't think there's much to do in Buffalo.
Nope, there isn't.
You are in the state of New York, but you're like 4 hours away from. You're closer to Toronto than you are to the city of New York. So
Yep.
yeah, I think Buffalo's pretty bad.
Another team that kind of came, like another just location. Like, what's Pittsburgh like? Like,
Pittsburgh's
is
a
kinda-
gritty town.
Yeah, like that was another one that kind of came to mind too. Like, it doesn't look.
It's like them in Philly, but I do see the thing with Philly with like their heritage again. You were kind of saying with like all that.
Yeah, but I think there's way more stuff to do in Philly than there is in Pittsburgh.
I've never been to either, so I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know. Anyways,
From what I know, Pittsburgh is like a very, very blue collar town.
yes.
Yeah.
Philly's a little bit the same way, but I think Pittsburgh's even more in terms of like there's just a bunch of factory jobs, and like that's how like everyone
it's
grew
just
up. Like
mills
steel,
and-
it's steel
Yeah.
mills and all that. Yeah.
so, it's a lot of like that kind of environment, which I think it makes for a great sports fan.
Yeah.
Like you see,
Yeah,
you see,
you're getting.
yeah,
you're
you-
getting
you-
the boys.
Yeah,
you're
you're
getting like
you're
we're,
getting the
we're-
boys.
we're sending paychecks because we want season tickets. Like
exactly.
I'm kind of thinking Minnesota or like going to Minneapolis. Or are they in St. Paul or Minnesota?
St. Paul.
Yeah. Is St. Paul that fun? It's kind of another
Dude,
thing.
it's
with
like
that.
so close. Like, it's not even a big deal to.
I don't know. It's kind of another
Minnesota?
city. Or even like the whole Ottawa thing. I would hate going to Ottawa too. I think.
Ottawa would,
I would hate Ottawa would be in my top.
Like
three.
especially the
Ottawa
fact that the
would for
arena's
sure be in my top
arena's
three.
like an hour outside of Ottawa,
Yeah.
and like all that. That's another one up there that I just think would be shitty to go to.
Yeah, I'd probably have Ottawa, Detroit.
and I would say Arizona would be in mine.
Oh God, no! I would love going to Arizona.
Yeah, it's hot there.
Oh
And
yeah,
there's like yeah,
all day.
I'd be kind of fine with it.
No, just because there's nothing. Like it is beautiful. You can get some golf in, but like I'm gonna be focused on hockey, not on golf.
You get
Yeah,
a day
so
in
hang
Arizona.
out by the pool, baby. It's nice and warm.
Never.
What are you talking
use
about?
that voice again.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on, baby.
So what was the consensus? Just
100%
top
Winnipeg.
here?
Yeah, Winnipeg won that one. No one wants to play in Winnipeg,
No
which I'm
one
not
wants to
surprised
play
Ah,
by.
fuck off.
Yeah.
38,
Come party with us.
38%.
Then you'll change your vote.
38% Winnipeg, 15% Buffalo, and 12% Ottawa.
So, Bull, you went from like the second least favorite place to the least.
And the thing is, that's coming from like which I think they have a better consensus of like where they actually want to go to, because they've been to every single city and they know exactly how, like, what's in every city, what there is to do.
Yeah, we're speculating on
Yeah,
that.
we're
Those
speculating on
questions. We
that.
don't know fuck all.
Yeah. We know a little bit more of the other ones because Torch scares us, and
We can watch hockey,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
but we can't. We have not been to all the cities, so.
That's a good. I like shit like that with like what the Athletic did with doing.
Dude, player
Voting
polls
for-
are the coolest thing because
Yeah.
it's like,
It's coming straight from the source.
yeah, it's just like, it's
Yeah.
why the Ted Lindsay Award means more than the Hart Trophy.
Yeah.
Because it comes from the players, not from the media or the writers.
Does it?
Yeah, because their opinion doesn't matter as much as.
Well, honestly, I think it's like a shift as of last year when McDavid didn't get nominated for the Hart, but he won the Ted Lindsay. It's
Ray?
like,
Yeah.
Ray.
yeah,
Doesn't add
yeah,
up.
not a top 3 most valuable player in the league, but the best player in the league.
Well, to get voted best among the guys who you're competing against every day means way more than
Yeah,
what
yeah, exactly,
the people
yeah,
who are
exactly what he
watching
said,
you
yeah.
think.
Yes, and that's
That's not
that's
even
why
close,
I'm
yeah.
saying
Yeah.
it. That's why I think that's the
Totally
case.
agree. But hey, if we get to say.
Yeah, dude, I think that article is really cool, and I really wish more leagues would do this, or like they would do it more often. Obviously, the players don't want to answer questions all the time, but I think that'd be really awesome
I
if
feel
they
like
could do it
basketball
more.
would have a cool one with like what cities they want to go to and stuff. And,
It
like,
would- it
and
would-
most like underrated player and all that. I feel like it would get heated in that discussion.
Dude, I feel like people would like tweet at each other and be like,
Yeah.
"Dude, look at you, overrated bitch!" like
Like
like.
tweets out blessed. I voted for myself for most underrated player.
I think he's a little more humble than that, but you know, like I see what you're saying. I think it could get really shenaniganery.
Well, he tweeted something about how it was he scored his like whatever amount, his like milestone point, but they lost the game by like 45. Like right after he was like, so blessed that I hit this many points in the NBA. It was like, buddy, you just lost.
Team
the game
got
by, like,
smashed.
yeah, absolutely destroyed. It's like, shit like that just pisses me off.
I kind of agree. I would say that, but we got to delve into some actual hockey talk here, not just player polls and such.
We're talking some ASHL.
Oh, dude, we have to.
I think we should dive into the Sunnyvale report.
Okay, if you guys are fired up, we can do a Sunday
Oh, I'm
report.
so fired
Well, we
up.
had 2 games yesterday. We had a hockey game at 7. We had a soccer game at 10.
Yeah.
Down
We
4-2.
had way too many players at both.
Well, how many guys did we have at hockey? We had 15. We had 15 skaters.
Yeah,
We had 15. We had 6D, 9 forwards.
that's unheard of for beer league.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7 minutes left in the game. We were down 4-2. And then
How many points did they give me?
How many points did they give you yesterday?
They better give me fucking 2, I swear to God.
Yeah, they gave you 2 apples.
Fuck yes, there it is.
Let's see. I got 3 bingos and we
Yeah.
got Stu with 3 apples.
3 not bad. Yeah, the fact that we were down 4-2, came back to win 6-4 with 7 minutes left was
But dude, it was funny because I looked at the goalie, and the goalie, instead of putting the water bottle like in the middle of the net, he put it to the glove side and hung it right there.
that teasing. That's
And-
teasing
and
you.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said. I just went over to Mark. I'm like, is this goalie serious right now? He's teasing me. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, he put the ball right there. He knows. He
Guy's
wants
a
me.
prick.
He wants me to shoot. He wants me to pop that ball. He wants me to go glove. I'm gonna do it. And he just
Oh
went.
my God.
You know what, Colin? You know what? Just shut up. Just try to do it then. Try to score. Dare ya. Puck goes into the corner, bounces out, and it's just kind of there. I'm just like, okay, I might as well just try to clap this in. And it beats the goalie's short side, and then goes out the other side and hits it.
Yeah,
I was just
it
like,
was-
nice. There it is.
Yeah, that team, they didn't have a very good goalie, but their team
Their
was
team
Dude,
was
that
really
goalie had a rough game. I don't know if he's a good goalie or not, but he wants
From-
3 of those goals
I was
back.
gonna say from what he from how he looked during the game and some of the saves he made, he looked like he wasn't bad, but there was probably 3 goals where it was like, ooh.
Dude,
Reese one?
your top Jed Clapper. I don't know if you've talked. Yeah, that one was like a 1 in 1,000 shot.
Yeah.
The one that rolled up his arm from Cole, like when Cole's
Yeah,
point shot
that
that
was
rolled.
bad. He
That's a
would've
1 in
swatted-
1,000 bounce.
He
And
swatted away, I think, and it hit off his stick and went
Yeah.
up his.
yeah, it rolled up his arm and like over his shoulder
Yeah.
and in. And I've had it happen to me before too.
Yeah.
you're just trying to deflect it into the corner.
Like,
Yeah.
goddamn.
Yeah, you're just trying to do too much almost. And then the other one was Reese's 5-hole goal.
Yeah,
Dude,
that was the worst one.
That's a not. He stops that 999 times out of 1,000.
Yep.
So like all of those goals were like
Yeah.
never
Which
fucking
they
go in.
did have a few lucky bounces, like coming off of the
The-
one where it went off lane stick, off the post, off your back and in, or off the back of your pad and in.
Okay, I didn't know what the path of that one going in was. I just
that's
knew
what
it
it was.
hit. I knew it hit the post and then ended up in the net.
It hit your skate or pad or something, and because you were like trying to like lie down and cover it or
Yeah.
something. And yeah, no, that's what happened. I was like, oh my god. And then the rainbow floater that just snuck over the line, the fourth goal.
Oh yeah, the last one. That was they had possession on us for like over a
Yeah.
minute. Like we were dog tired.
Yeah.
So
The best thing about that game, though, was the fact that they kept getting penalties, and there'd be less than 5 seconds before it's about to end, and there'd be another penalty there too, and we'd score.
yeah,
And
we,
when the
dude, we
first
scored like 3 power play goals I think, or 3 that were 4-on-4 / power play.
Three
So
power play goals yesterday.
yeah, we did really well.
That's good. That's what we want to see. We want to see our power play running.
Yeah, we never score power play goals ever.
Yeah,
Up until this game, we had as many shorties as power play goals.
I don't doubt that in the slightest. And then we went over to soccer at 10 o'clock and played a team that was, I hope they don't listen, absolutely shit. We had 12. Usually you want like 10 at soccer because it's.
Could you imagine if someone sitting at home and like,
What the fuck, man?
fuck yeah, it's like you're putting me on blast.
Do me like that?
Yeah.
Unsubscribe.
Shit, we lost 10% of our audience. Guys. We get,
So I get there and it's like, because there's 5 people on the field and the goalie, so you usually want 10 players. We had 12. It was just the worst.
It was a
amount
lot of people.
numbers
It was
and
12 plus a goalie. It was 13 people.
The same as hockey. It was just like too many.
Honestly, if there was ever a game where we were gonna have a lot of people, I'm glad it was the one that.
at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it was
That
a
was
10 o'clock
post-hockey?
game post hockey. Yeah, it was quite ideal, and scored the game-winning goal.
He did. He scored the first one. Do you want to know how it happened?
Beautiful pass from Devin Prout.
It wasn't even a pass. It was like just a rock. Well, I guess it was a good pass then. Absolute just rocket at his feet, and he says he kicked it. I don't think it did. I think it just hit off
I
his shin and in.
100% kicked that. I 100% got my foot on that. That was not my shin at all.
You think you got a shin on it, and that's why?
I
Bro,
think
you're
he was
tripping.
just running, and it like
Oh.
hit off of him and went in.
Do you think there was no intention to hit the ball?
No.
Colin's cheeky smile tells me he might
No,
agree.
There was total intention. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Speaking of total the intention, anyone see what Palmanville did last night? Dude,
That is the worst luck I've ever seen. Honestly, I think he wanted Buffalo to lose.
That was the sickest fake clapper I've
dude,
ever seen.
I saw Hey Barber had a challenge that it because he does, huh?
Was it that? Like,
It was a challenge about because he does that Zorro fake slap shot, really
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
move,
yeah.
like essentially what
And he, like,
Palmanville
chips it
did
up,
to
they-
himself.
yeah.
And he just reposted it today and was like, "Okay, Palmanville, the challenge was up, but man, you just won it." Like, because like, dude, he took the puck off his own goal, and if anyone doesn't know, he goes one knee backdoor on a one timer, and he makes contact, but he whiffs on it,
on the follow through.
and then on the follow through when
He
he's
catches it on the follow through.
Yeah.
yeah, and then when he's pulling back to like after the shot, he scoops the puck off the goal line and takes it out of the net that it was going directly in.
Left down by 1.
Yes, it was why they lost the game, or like that was the
It
last
was-
best chance they had. So
And then right after that, McDavid missed a breakaway open net from like the hash.
Oh, I thought
Or
that was
from ring
awesome.
at line.
I
That was
loved
awesome.
I loved every bit of that.
And I saw the best
That's
video.
why he is not number one and Crosby is.
That would've been a funny
Has
video.
Crosby ever missed an empty net like that?
Bust. And I saw the funniest video. It had the announcing of the Patrick Steffen miss over top
Oh
of
my
that.
god.
It
That
was
is so good.
it was the funniest thing
Can
ever.
could you imagine if that had happened?
I was watching it live and I saw him miss it and I was like, literally, I saw in my head just, oh my god, Patrick Steffen. Oh my god, it's coming. Except it's against the Oilers. Oh no, it was. But yeah, they ended up closing it out and yeah, good game. But yeah, no, that Palmanville, that was the
Dude,
first time I've ever seen anything like that.
I remember. I think it was a Habs player once, and no, I think it was a Nashville player. The puck was bouncing in the air, and he tapped it out of the air, but then knocked. I think it was Craig Smith. He knocked his own shot out of the way in like a similar fashion. Like he whiffed on it, and then tried to like whack it again, but he whacked it wide or something.
in?
And yes, it was going straight in, and he tried to like help it in, but I think he missed like whacked it wide or something.
Oh.
But But it was a mid-air, like it was like
Yeah.
it was not a one-timer along the ice that he whiffed on, you know. So
Well, you know what? We've been talking for a good bit. How about we jump into some 3 stars?
Sounds good. I got mine.
I will go first.
Yep.
Tyler Ennis gets scratched and then gets put back in the lineup and puts up a hat trick against the Calgary Flames, #1 team in the Western Conference.
That's great.
Oh, I
3
got it.
goals, good enough for 3rd star.
It was his first ever hat trick.
is that true?
Yep.
His first career
It
hat
was his
trick.
Wow.
first career hat trick. And is he scratched next game? Probably.
Probably not.
Probably.
I think Nick Patan stays scratched. I don't think he jumps back in the lineup for a little while.
Was
Yeah.
Nick Patan the one who was scratched?
I think so. I'm almost
And
positive
he
because
scored in his debut. That's funny.
unless
Even Trevor Moore. I don't even know.
I think they scratched. I think because the game before Ennis got scratched and Patan went in, so I
Yeah.
just assumed they'd flip flopped it
Flip-flopped,
the
yeah.
other way.
All right, you want to go
Anyway,
second?
congratulations, Tyler Ennis. Second star, kind of an honorary first star,
Yeah.
but apparently, as of Sunday, the last Humboldt player from the crash was released from the hospital. It says that his name is Morgan Goebel, and he stayed in the hospital for 333 days.
Yeah.
And
That's insane.
here's the quote about what he went through. It said he suffered a traumatic brain injury, multiple fractures to his skull, 3 facial lacerations, broken ribs, and lacerations to his liver and spleen. So, congratulations, I guess, to everyone in the crash. Everyone is now looking to the second step of their journey, or further,
Yeah.
as long if they're on their way. So yeah, hopefully all is good. And more somber news.
Yeah, another one. A man who played 1,068 games, had 851 points. Man who played for Detroit, Chicago, 1 game in the AHL. That's all he has. And it's a
Plug.
man who has an award named after him for best player voted amongst your peers, kind of what we were talking about earlier. And it's Ted Lindsay. Passed away at the age of 93, and just a legend of the game. Everyone loved him, and sad news.
Well, I think even the GM for Detroit said, like, what he did as a player is remarkable, but what he did as, like, a guy and what he did for his family and community is just...
Do you guys know any? I heard a couple Ted Lindsay like stories like since it happened. There's like a few things have come up about him. So I didn't know this. He was the one who like formed the PA. Like
Is he?
he
I didn't know
he
that.
back when there was no player. So there was 5 owners. There was 6 teams. There was 5 owners because one guy owned 2 teams. I think
You know what teams they were?
it was Toronto and Montreal. I
Yeah.
think. But anyway, he at a time when no one had rights, people were playing for 10 grand and then having summer jobs. He went out and like put his neck on the line, saying like, we deserve more money. We're gonna make a players union. So him and there's a bunch of other guys that get credit for it in terms of like being pioneers, but he is revered as like the #1 guy or like
Yeah.
one of the first guys.
Yeah.
The reason you talk about he played for Chicago, he got traded to Chicago because of this.
Really?
They traded him to the worst team in the league because like they didn't want him to like make this player union like that's
crazy.
like it's no there was
That's how big he was. How big of
How
impact
big
he
impact
had.
he did.
yeah like what's the I'm trying to think the collusion in the league with like owners talking to each other like
Yeah.
they just said like no one signed Ted Lindsay anymore like that's like the power they had and he went against it. Another thing at his Hall of Fame induction apparently they weren't gonna let he boycotted his own Hall of Fame in induction because they weren't going to let his wife and kids go.
What?
Apparently, it was a rule like it was like only hockey writers and hockey people went to the event.
Fuck
And
that.
then he made a stand and said like I'm not going if my wife and kids can't come. And then next
Yeah.
year, wife and kids and like families was allowed.
Damn straight.
So
Yeah, good
like
for him.
yeah, just some cool Ted Lindsay
Yeah.
things I heard in the past couple days.
Yeah. That's all the hockey we have for today.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. Follow the Puck Boys on Twitter at the Puck Boys.
Thanks for listening. We try and record Mondays. We release on Tuesdays. That's generally the schedule.
Had hockey and soccer.
Yeah, that's the way she
yesterday,
goes.
sorry. Alrighty, well.
All right, yeah.
Peace.
See you next time.